Hello everybody, it is Thursday once again. I hope you're all having a great week. As you can see, I am outside again and I am kind of dark today because the sun happens to be straight above me and it's shading my entire face, so I'm sorry if you can't make me out much. Anyway, my week has actually been a bit rocky and frustrating. It's just one of those weeks, I guess. Symptoms have been up and I just have kind of felt emotionally crushed, so but we all have those kinds of weeks, right? So I'll deal. Anyway, at the moment I'm pretty dizzy and my innards are also pretty pissed, so I'm going to attempt to make this video as short as I can. Any one of you guys ever notice that whenever any of us says that we're going to make the video as short as we can, like 75% of the time it ends up being over 10 minutes and almost the max that YouTube will allow? Okay, so anyway, I'll hit up the questions real quick. Andrew, you did not have a question, but you were asking about contact info. My cell phone number is actually on my Facebook page, I think. Should probably check that. But you can contact me via my cell, or probably better actually would be just send me a Facebook message. I check Facebook relatively often, I guess, so that's probably the best way. Anyway, Dave, you asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years if you are fully recovered or if you're still sick? It's a really good question, and I can't remember if I've mentioned this before or not, but if I were to get completely better, what I would want to be doing in 5 years' time is either installing solar panels on people's houses, residential areas, small systems like that, or managing a crew and designing and planning systems of solar panels on residential houses. So, the mosquitoes are terrible, by the way, if you can't tell. Anyway, that's what I'd want to be doing if I were better. If I were not better, as is somewhat more likely, at least from my point of view at the moment, my plans right now are to try and get a small photo restoration business up and running, restoring people's old family photos. I've worked with Photoshop since, I guess I really got into it in about 2002 or 2003. And I've been plunking around with it ever since then, and I've also got a book that explains some of the few things that I might not already know how to use Photoshop to do with regards to photo restoration, so I'm slowly working away at doing that, and hopefully within 5 years' time, if I do not get better, I will be working on restoring people's photos. So, actually, I can plug myself here. So, if any of you happen to have old family photos that are in need of some touch-ups or some restoration, feel free to get a hold of me. You can send me a message, a private message or something on YouTube, or if you're friends with me on Facebook, send me a message on there. I'd be more than willing to have a go at them and practice restoring them for you. So that's my plug. Frank, you did not have a question this week, but I'm really glad to hear that some of your worries have been alleviated about your shoulder and some of the pains you've been feeling. I'm sorry that I haven't talked to you more about all that stuff. I know I kind of keep myself secluded out here, but it seemed to me like you were having a pretty tough time with some of that, and I'm really, really glad that you're feeling a little more optimistic about it. So, anyway, DJ, welcome to the channel. We are glad to have you here, but since you asked, I am about 30 minutes south of Toledo, down in Bowling Green. Toledo is actually our rival, but yeah, obviously I'm out in the country, as you guys can see. But DJ, you asked, how does humidity and heat affect your symptoms? I think you weren't sure if that had been asked before. Honestly, I I can't remember at all, because between the Manly Potsy videos, the 5 Awesome Potsies, the Teen Potsies, and the TDC, I can't keep track of what's been said or asked where anymore. So I'll just go ahead and answer it. How does the humidity and heat affect your symptoms? It makes them a lot worse. And that's really, really interesting, because before I was ill, I used to do a ton of stuff out in the heat without a problem. A lot of the jobs that I worked in college were manual labor type of jobs, doing heavy landscaping or building decks, things of that nature. Lots of relatively intense things out in the sun and the heat, and besides making me tired and making me sweat a whole lot, kind of gross, but I really didn't have a problem with it. But now, if it gets humid out, even if it's 75 degrees and it's humid out, I just cannot handle it. I get dizzy and tired and just downright feel bad pretty darn quickly. So, yeah. And you know how our summers here in Ohio can be, DJ, so anyway, I've also got to say real quick, Sarah, I loved the dog training video with Senor Wahlberg there. My stepdad actually trains dogs, and he trained both of the dogs that we have right now. Sabina, the one that I showed in one of my previous videos, she is CDX certified, and Bronson, our other gigantic Belgian Malinois, he was actually trained in at least partial Schutzen, as well as the general obedience. So I was actually pleasantly surprised to see someone else out there giving the plots command for down. So anyway, yeah, I just about fell off the couch laughing so hard when I saw Wahlberg jumping in his shadow. I've never seen a dog do something like that before. That was absolutely hilarious. So thanks for posting that. It made my day. So my question for this week is, do any of you find that being in a certain physical position makes you feel any worse? And this is kind of a weird one for me, because when I was first dizzy, I don't remember having a problem with anything like this, but in the last few years, since it's gotten a little worse, I've noticed that whenever I sit straight up or I bend forward at the waist for any longer than a couple minutes, I tend to start shallow breathing, breathing faster, I feel really winded, I get tachycardic, I don't know, a lot of just general, I feel worse. And then for a little while after that, even a couple hours after I lay down or I straighten back out, I'll feel the repercussions from it. Sometimes I'll get stomach aches from it. I don't know. It's very odd. So there's that, and there's also, like, if I bend over to look down at something or pick something up off the floor, sometimes that makes me a lot dizzier or more lightheaded depending on how I'm feeling that day. And of course, some of you get where you're looking up or down at something, especially if you look up and down quickly, that also makes me pretty dizzy. I fear that I've been typecast a bit as the channel Pyro, but you know, I do actually like other things than fire. So to demonstrate that, I'm going to futz around with something a little bit more chilly for you all here, just for a second. I happen to have a little bit of dry ice. So, first things first, when you're messing around with dry ice, please don't. Unless you know what you're doing. It is extremely cold, and it will kill your skin if it sits on it for very long at all. It's like negative 109 degrees Fahrenheit. For our Canadian friends, that's like negative, I think it was negative 78 C. So yeah, it's really, really, really cold stuff. Not quite liquid nitrogen, but it's still quite cold. So this is what it looks like if you've never seen it before. Solid carbon dioxide. It sublimes, it does not melt, and because it's so cold, it will instantly start to evaporate if you stick it in water. because the water is significantly hotter compared to it. All of you have probably seen this before. I don't have enough energy to set up any like more elaborate experiments or anything because I'm having a rough day, so that's it for this video. I hope you all are feeling a little better than I am at present, and I hope you all can have a wonderful weekend. Stay tuned for Andrew tomorrow, and I'll see you next week.